The city of Chicago buzzed with its usual rhythm trains screeching on elevated tracks, car horns echoing off tall brick buildings, and sidewalks filled with people rushing to their destinations. But on the south side, tucked between rows of aging brownstones, stood Roosevelt High School, a place where dreams and struggles collided every single day. The building was old, its paint chipped, windows streaked with grime, and its hallways filled with faded banners that once celebrated championships and graduations. The school had a reputation, a tough one. Fights in the halls, graffiti on the lockers, students dropping out more than staying in. It wasn't the kind of place where teachers lasted long. But Miss Emily Carter wasn't like most teachers. At 26, she was fresh out of grad school, full of ideals and hope. She believed in second chances, in the power of knowledge to lift kids out of the cycle of violence and poverty. With shoulder-length brown hair, round glasses, and a voice that tried to sound confident even when it trembled, Emily walked into her classroom every day determined to make a difference. But today was already slipping out of her hands. It was third period history. Room 214 was loud before she even arrived. The younger students sat uneasily in their seats, trying to focus, but the real problem sat in the back three older boys, all over 19, repeating classes because of years of skipping, suspensions, and failed grades. They weren't here to learn. They were here to dominate. Derrick, tall and muscular with tattoos creeping up his neck, leaned back in his chair with his feet on the desk, chewing gum with a smirk. Rico, lean with braided hair and a sly grin, sat tossing a pen in the air, catching it like he was bored of everything around him. Marcus, heavy-set and loud, drummed his fingers against the desk, making younger students jump with each bang. The moment Emily entered, the storm began. "Yo, Miss Carter." Marcus grinned, kicking his desk forward with a loud screech. "You ready to babysit again?" Rico crumpled a paper and flicked it across the room. It landed right by Emily's shoes. "Oops," he said mockingly. Derrick leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "You sure you can handle this class? Maybe you should just stick to kindergarten." Laughter echoed from the back. Other students lowered their heads, afraid to get caught in the crossfire. Emily gripped her folder tighter, her knuckles white. She tried to steady her voice. "Please sit down. We need to start the lesson." But Derrick slammed his hand on the desk, cutting her off. The sound echoed like a gunshot. Emily flinched, and the boys grinned wider. The atmosphere grew tense, heavy. The young teacher looked like she was on the verge of tears. And that's when the door opened. The entire classroom turned. Standing in the doorway was Jason Statham. He was in Chicago for a charity program visiting schools, talking to kids about discipline, self-respect, and the power of staying out of trouble. But the second he stepped into room 214, he knew exactly what he'd walked into. Jason didn't rush. He didn't raise his voice. He simply walked in, hands tucked into the pockets of his black jacket, his boots clicking against the tile floor. His eyes scanned the room sharp, cold, calculating. The chaos died instantly. Emily exhaled, relief washing over her. "Mr. Statham," she began softly. Jason raised a hand gently, his eyes never leaving the bullies. She understood immediately. He would handle this. Marcus was the first to laugh. "Hold up, ain't this that movie guy? What you doing here, man? Gonna film an action scene in our class?" Rico smirked. "He don't scare me. He just an actor." Derrick stood up slowly, puffing his chest out. "Yeah, this ain't Hollywood, tough guy. You in our world now." Jason stepped closer, each step deliberate, slow, like a predator that didn't need to rush. He stopped just inches from Derrick, looking him dead in the eyes. The room was silent. Jason's voice was calm, low, but it carried the weight of steel. "You think you're tough? Throwing paper, kicking desks, scaring teachers? That's not tough. That's weak." He leaned in slightly, his stare unblinking. "Real strength is control. Real strength is respect." Derrick swallowed hard, his bravado slipping. Jason shifted his gaze to Rico, then Marcus, his words cutting like a knife. "You boys are 19. You call yourselves men. But men don't waste their time tearing others down. Men stand for something. Men protect. Right now, all I see are boys, hiding behind noise." The silence was crushing. Rico looked down at his desk. Marcus shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Derrick, for the first time, had no comeback. Jason straightened, his voice carrying for the whole class. One day, you'll meet someone who won't ignore your games. Someone who won't just stare. And when that day comes, you won't be laughing. He stepped back, folding his arms, his eyes still locked on the bullies. Then he turned to Emily, his voice softer. Go ahead, Miss Carter. Teach them history. They might actually learn something today. Emily blinked back tears not of fear, but of gratitude. With Jason's presence behind her, she picked up her chalk. Her hand steady this time. The class sat upright. The bullies kept their heads down. And for the first time since she started teaching, Miss Carter felt what respect in her classroom truly sounded like silence. Jason didn't need to throw a single punch. His stare, his words, and his presence were enough. That day, Roosevelt High School learned a lesson that wasn't written in any textbook. Respect is stronger than fear. And sometimes the right words from the right man can be more powerful than any fight.